Hello YouTube. Today we're going to apply actuals to our P6 schedule, and this will involve creating backup, identifying the period for update with Progress Spotlight, then applying the dates, the hours, the expenses, and finally rescheduling the project. So we're back in our new car project, and we're ready to actually start the project now. So we'll assume that we've gone forward a month in time and we're ready to do an update. In other words, apply actuals to our project. So the first thing we have to do is think about safety, and we should be making a backup of our project because this is a time when things could go wrong dramatically. So we need to make sure that we've got a copy of our project available just in case things do go wrong. So the way we do that is we go back to the projects window, we highlight the new car project, and we right click on it, and we say that we want to make a copy. We then come over to the right, find the paste button, hit paste. We then start getting asked some questions. So what do we want to include? All of these good things, and we've got a baseline there, so we'll want to include the baseline as well. So okay, that is the baseline, which is the project baseline. So we say okay to that. Now it wants to know the WBS elements. Yes, we want everything, it's a full copy. And now it wants to know the activity elements. So yep, we want everything to be included in this. So okay to that. It now goes away, creates a copy, and there is the copy in the same node under construction projects, but you can see the ID now has a -1 against it. And what we should be doing is changing the status of that to what if, so that we don't start double dipping on resources. So to do that, notice it's grayed out at the moment. The project actually has to be open in order to change the status of the project. So make sure car1 is now open. Status is now active, and we can change from a status of active to what if. That means the resources in the copy will not be double counted whenever we do resource analysis in the future. Notice that a yellow question mark goes over the project folder to give us a visual indication that it is indeed what if. So we've got our copy and it's in the correct status. So we can now reopen our original. Let's see, in the header that the original has now opened. We're in the activities window and we're ready to go forward in time and status each of the activities that has had work done on it in that period. So having made the copy, the next thing we have to do is highlight through the spotlight function here. Hit progress spotlight, and the yellow beam shines down, goes forward a week by default, and we need to drag this right hand edge to the new data date, which in our case is the 18th of August. So we drag, watching that little calendar box till we find the 18th of August. When we see that, we release the left mouse button. Whoops, over a bit. Release, and the data date is now in the correct new position. So it's telling us, it's highlighting for us those activities that need to be updated, or that we think will be updated in this particular period. So people will now be reporting to us on the progress they've made on the activities in this period. So we have two, basically. We've got the level of effort one that should have had some work done on it, and we've got A1020, which should have had some work done on it. We don't anticipate any work being done on any of the later activities. So having highlighted the activities, we then go to the first one and status it. So that means we come down to the tabs at the bottom, hit the status tab, and we have to be told by the people doing the work whether it did in fact start on the planned start date of the 21st of July. We will assume that it did, so tick, and we don't need to change the date. It did start on the 21st. If it had started on the 22nd, we would have to say that by going into the calendar and choosing whichever date it did start on. However, we'll assume it started on the 21st. It hasn't finished yet. We don't expect it to finish right until the 2nd of January. When we're in that situation where something has started but not finished, then we are required to give an estimate of remaining duration. At the moment it's saying 120, but we need to change that, and we'll assume that we've done 20 days work and that we have 100 days still to go. So we type in there remaining duration 100 days. Whenever we're doing an update, there are three things we need to update on every activity. First one is the dates, the start date, finish date, or remaining duration. The second thing we need to update are the resource hours involved. The third thing we need to update are expenses, if any expenses were involved in that activity. So we've done the dates. Now we do the resources for our level of effort, project admin. And notice that the computer has put in figures from the data that we've just put in. So we said 100 days remaining, which meant 20 days had been done. So let's put in actual regular hours of 160. So 20 days at 8 hours a day, 160 hours. Now, it may be the case that that our resource didn't work at 160, in which case we change that. And it may be the case that we anticipate there won't be 800 days remaining, in which case we change that. However, in this instance, we'll assume that that is correct. No need to change anything. Expenses, no expenses in this particular one, so we come back to status and on to the next activity, which in this case is 1010, which is a milestone. You can see from the Gantt chart there, it's a diamond, so a milestone. We need to be told, did it start? Did the project start on the 21st? Yes, it did, so tick. Notice the computer ticks finished automatically. It's a milestone, there is no duration, so as soon as it starts, it finishes, and the computer knows that. And that's all you do with a milestone. There are no resource hours on a milestone, and usually you don't put expenses on a milestone. So that's all you generally do with a milestone. So we can now go forward to the next activity, 1020. Here's our activity, 20 days long, Jeff Young working on it. Let's assume that it started, but not on the 21st. Let's assume there was a delay for whatever reason, a week's delay. So instead of starting on the 21st, we actually had to wait till the 28th to start. We haven't started yet, which means we haven't finished. We'll push to the right of our current or new data date. So we've started, we haven't finished. How many days do we estimate are remaining? Well, we've slipped by 5 days, so we've gone forward a month, so we anticipate that there are still 5 days remaining to be done. We put that in, we enter it, and the computer works out that we've done 75% of the job. Notice that what we see in the Gantt chart at this point in time, before we've scheduled, is not correct. So don't make any decisions at this point in time looking at the Gantt chart. It's not right until we reschedule. So remember, every activity, when you're updating it, requires 3 inputs. First the dates, then the resource hours, then the expenses. So resource hours, it's put in information based on what we put in the status tab. So it's assuming that there's 30 hours still remaining and anticipating that 90 have been done. It's on a 6-hour day, so there's a little problem there that we'll have to sort out later on. But at 6 hours a day, that is correct. So we don't need to make any changes there. Expenses, there are no expenses on this one. So that's it for this one. There is no work done on the rest, so that's the end of the update as far as we're concerned in this first month. So having updated all of the activities involved, then we are obliged to reschedule. So we turn off the spotlight. We go to our scheduling button, and we have to put in the new data date. So remember, we said the new data date was the 18th of August. So we're going from the start of the project, 21 July, forward a month to the 18th of August, which is a Monday. Remember, the data date represents the beginning of a working day, so it's not taking any of this Monday the 18th into account. It's doing everything up to the end of Friday the 15th, assuming that we don't work weekends. So it's capturing everything to the end of Friday the 15th. So traditionally, you would put the next Monday. If you start your working week on a Monday, you would put the next Monday as the appropriate new data date. So we select that, 18th of August, and we're now ready to schedule. So when we press schedule, the computer will do a forward pass through all the activities, working out the earliest every activity can start and finish. When it gets to the end, it'll turn around, do a backward pass, working out the latest that every activity can start and finish. So let's do that. We schedule, bing, computer does it for us, and now what we see in the Gantt chart is correct. So this particular activity was delayed. You can see it's slipping away from its baseline because they're all linked finish to start. Then we're getting this sort of shunting effect, like in a whole row of wagons on a train. Everything shunts forward because they're all linked. This one delaying has pushed this one, this non-critical one, the selling activity, forward, and its mate has gone forward. And this delay on the final activity in the critical path, the red path through here, you can see that our finish milestone has moved away from the original planned finish date. So we've slipped 5 days all the way down through the critical path. If we look at our float, we can see we've still got 9 days positive. So we're not yet beyond our project must finish by date, but we are slipping. So that should be a cause for concern. And at this point in time, the project manager should be thinking, what can I do to get things back on track, to accelerate things? You can see that the level of effort here is not showing the work that's been done on the level of effort. It's sort of giving you the mistaken impression that the level of effort's been delayed, but that is not the case. So that's a problem with the bars, the way the bars are showing. So at the moment we've only got remaining level of effort, which is that dark green bar that we see. We haven't got the actual work done on that level of effort activity, so we'd need to tick that one on, which is a blue bar. If we applied that, you would now see that that completed work is visible in your Gantt chart, and the remaining work is visible as well. One other thing to talk about at this point in time is the baselines. So remember, when we created the baseline, we said it was a 3 stage affair. First, we went to maintain baselines and added a new baseline, B1. Then we went to the assign baselines dialog box and put in B1 as a primary user baseline. So we've assigned the baseline. And then we went into the bars dialog, the third stage, and ticked on the primary baseline and its milestone in order to see them in the Gantt chart. So it's a three-stage thing. Now I just wanted to show you what would happen if we had this ticked in here in the bars dialog, but we hadn't assigned the milestone. I just want to show you what that does. So we've got slippage indicated, which is correct at this moment in time. If I unassign the baseline though, so take it away and make it back to current project. So okay. Notice that after the data date, everything now sits on its baseline as though there was no slippage, because we're seeing current project. In other words, we're seeing the current position of every bar reflected in the baseline. So that is in fact a false baseline, giving you entirely the wrong picture of what is going on at this point in time. So whenever you are using baselines, you must make sure you do those three things: create it, assign it, and make it visible in the Gantt chart. And then we're seeing the correct picture now. So that's it. That's an update, a first update for our car project. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to tick like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.